From the iconic Stahlhelm to the experimental designs that never saw the battlefield, this is every helmet worn during WW2. Practical, protective, and a symbol of wartime evolution. Let's begin with the German helmets. The German Stahlhelm M16 was the helmet that made German forces instantly recognizable on every front. Its deep steel bowl, weighing around 1.2 kilograms, offered significantly more coverage than previous designs, extending protection down over the ears and back of the neck. The distinctive coal scuttle shape became synonymous with the Wehrmacht, providing solid defense against shrapnel and indirect fire. But that protection came with trade-offs. Soldiers consistently complained that the deep sides restricted peripheral vision and muffled hearing, critical senses in combat where threats came from every direction. The British WW2 Tommy helmet represented practical mass production over aesthetic concerns. Introduced in 1938 and made from mild steel, this 1.5 kilogram bowl was designed specifically to deflect shrapnel rather than stop direct fire. Its simple stamped construction meant factories could produce thousands weekly, keeping pace with Britain's expanding wartime army. Veterans affectionately called it the tin hat, though its dented bucket appearance drew mockery from both friendly troops and enemies. British infantryman Harry Patch recalled it saved his life at Passchendaele when shrapnel struck the rim, deflecting fragments that would have killed him. The American M1 helmet revolutionized combat headgear with its two-piece system. A manganese steel outer shell paired with a separate fiberglass liner created a helmet that was lighter, more comfortable, and more protective than previous designs. Weighing 1.4 kilograms complete, it quickly became the most widely distributed helmet of the war, with over 22 million produced between 1941 and 1945. Paratroopers at Normandy reported the distinctive shape, often compared to a mixing bowl, became a liability when German snipers learned to recognize its silhouette, but its effectiveness in deflecting fragments made it legendary. Now the specialists emerged. As different combat roles demanded specific features, helmet designs diverged from standard infantry issue into specialized variants tailored for paratroopers, aircrews, and tank commanders. The German M35 Stahlhelm refined the M16's basic design with thicker steel and improved manufacturing. The rolled rim became its identifying feature, visible in thousands of combat photographs from Poland to Stalingrad. This model offered superior shrapnel protection, with steel thickness increased to 1.4 millimeters. But that improvement added weight, around 1.4 kilograms, making extended wear exhausting during long marches. Panzer crews particularly disliked it, as the deep sides interfered with communication headsets and periscope viewing inside cramped tank interiors. The US paratrooper M2 helmet solved a unique problem, keeping headgear secured during freefall. American airborne engineers developed a specialized chin strap system with additional anchor points, preventing the helmet from being torn off by wind blast when jumping from C-47 transports. Weighing 1.5 kilograms, it featured the same steel shell as the M1, but with a different liner configuration. Paratroopers of the 101st Airborne reported mixed feelings. The security was excellent, but the tight chin strap could cause severe bruising during hard landings at Arnhem and Bastogne. The British Brodie helmet for aircrew represented specialized protection for bomber crews. Smaller and lighter than the standard Mk2, this modified version featured reinforced edges to absorb impact during emergency bailouts or crash landings. RAF gunners stationed in Lancaster bombers wore these during night raids over Germany, though the design was rarely seen on ground forces who preferred the full-size version's greater coverage. Only about 15,000 were manufactured, making it one of the rarer British helmet variants documented in museum collections today. Then came the oddities, designs that pushed boundaries, served specific doctrines, or simply represented different engineering philosophies. These helmets reveal how each nation approached the same problem differently. The Japanese Type 90 helmet embodied minimalist design philosophy. Made from pressed steel and weighing just 1.1 kilograms, it featured a distinctive outward curve and minimal coverage compared to Western counterparts. Its shallow depth provided basic protection, but left the neck and ears exposed. Japanese infantry at Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima wore these throughout the Pacific Campaign, though captured examples studied by US intelligence noted the design offered inferior shrapnel protection compared to Allied helmets. The Soviet SSH-40 helmet became the iconic symbol of the Red Army across the Eastern Front. Manufactured from stamped steel in a distinctive high angular shape, it proved remarkably rugged under brutal combat conditions from Stalingrad to Berlin. The design accommodated winter Ushanka hats underneath, critical for surviving Russian winters. Soviet veterans reported the helmet's high profile made a clear target, but its simple, durable construction meant it could be mass-produced in factories hastily relocated beyond the Urals. Over 10 million were manufactured during the war years. The German Fallschirmjäger paratrooper helmet was perhaps the most distinctive design of the war. Unlike standard Stahlhelm variants, it featured a deep, rounded bowl with cutouts around the ears and no projecting brim, specifically designed to prevent the helmet catching on parachute lines during jumps. Weighing 1.3 kilograms, it provided excellent protection for the skull. German paratroopers at Crete and Monte Cassino appreciated its secure fit during combat jumps, but the bulky design and lack of a brim made it less practical for conventional ground combat operations. Finally, the post-war designs and specialized models that closed out the era. These helmets represented the transition from WW2 standards toward future innovations. The US M1C paratrooper helmet emerged as an improved M1 variant, specifically for airborne forces. It featured a more secure liner system and an improved chin strap configuration that addressed complaints from earlier parachute operations. Weighing 1.5 kilograms, it became standard issue for American paratroopers in the war's final months, though newer designs were already in development by the time it reached full production in 1945. The experimental Soviet helmet of the future represented post-war ambitions. Designed in 1944 using layered composite materials intended to provide superior protection while reducing weight, it never progressed beyond prototype stage. Only 3 examples were manufactured before the war's end, and subsequent political changes shelved the project. The helmet now exists only in Soviet military archives and represents the ambitious but ultimately unrealized attempts to revolutionize personal protection using materials that wouldn't become standard until decades later.